This is great. We're going to turn things over to the audience. I'm sure they've got some things that they'd like to inquire upon. We've got some of our friends out in the audience as well. They'll be fielding some of the questions. And let's start with Jen. You look like you got somebody ready to go.
I do. Marley, honey, she has a question for you, gentlemen.
What was your biggest challenge making something come to reality from the movies to the park?
And what was your name again?
Marley.
Marley. Okay, great question, Marley. So the challenges that you had from the movies to making it more of a reality to fit into the theme park.
Well, I'll start with just the buildings themselves and getting things that can stand up. We went from a film set, which is basically just the exterior facade, and you open the door and you go back there and it's all scaffolding and rigging and pipes and things like that. So what we had to do for Stuart was we made a scale model and we framed it out of little tiny balsa wood sticks, and we did the entire land. We built it all perfectly plumb and level and fabulous. It would have been anybody's kind of senior thesis in an architecture program. And then Stuart went in there and just started pushing things over. He's like, this looks good about right here, glue it. No, too much glue. And he says, they'll fall over. Getting that process down was probably a big challenge for us over the day.
I think one of the most challenging pieces that we translated from the movie into the real world was the vanishing cabinet that's in Morgan and Burke's. And the movie, once again, it was made to last a few days on set, and they used a very delicate paint process. If you touched the vanishing cabinet, pieces of paint would literally flake off and fall to the floor. So George Gukomas, my lead scenic artist, worked with our team to come up with an amazing paint finish that would hold up to the oils of people's hands touching it every single day. So that was one of our biggest challenges that we translated, I think.
Awesome. Great question. Thank you so much. Let's go over to Chelsea.
Hey. All right. What's your name again?
Hi, I'm Nick.
Nick. All right. He has a question for you.
Hi, I was wondering, are there any specific areas within the Harry Potter universe that you would like to build in the future, possibly, such as the Great Hall, or maybe more within the Hogwarts School?
I want to build the Ministry.
Ministry magic.
Okay, so obviously a fan favorite. I mean, you were right on that. Why would you? What is it about that you just love to have the opportunity to build and create?
Well, seeing it in the films was one thing, but seeing it rebuilt ad libitum, and if anybody ever has the chance to go over to that studio tour, it's incredible. But it's a giant marble hall. Like it's the most pristine glass and tile work and things like that. These gorgeous dragons holding up huge cylinders of office space. It seems like it would be impossible for us to build, which is why I wanted to give it a shot.
Sure.
I mean, I think one of the things about it, I mean, for the movie, so much, I mean, they built huge parts of the set, but so much of it was CGI. And that was one of the coolest things about Gringotts to me. In the movie, they only built up to the bottom of the chandeliers, and then everything above the bottom of the chandeliers was CGI. And to see that built in a real world where you can walk in and you can look at it, that is an amazing thing, I think.
That was a great moment when the film cast actually showed up for the first time in Diagon Alley, and one of the first things I think out of Oliver Phelps' mouth when he walked through the brick archway was, "Hey, there's sky." We have that here in Florida.
That's a great question. Thank you so much. We'll go back over to, Josh, who do you have there with you?
I have Tess from North Carolina.
All right, Tess.
I want to know, right next to Madame Malcolm's robes, there used to be owls up there. What'd you do with them, and can I have one?
The owls have gone off to a very safe place. Yeah. We actually turned what was Elops originally. We've now turned into shutter buttons, if you haven't been over there, which was a very fun piece for us to do. Kind of a wizardized photo studio. So if you haven't seen it, stop by. There's some really cool wizardized cameras and stuff that are brand new. So if you haven't been to Diagon in a while, you should definitely go by and see that in Sugar Plums. They just opened up recently.
Elops actually started for us as a cue for Madame Malkin's. And it was a response to how Hogsmeade could sometimes get really crowded right there at the corner by Tomes and Scrolls and Magic Leap. So we decided that we're going to put all the cues away. We're going to take it and make sure that main shot when you walk in and looks up to Gringotts is open and there's no people kind of moving around in a big queue. And what we realized was that we actually designed the flow of the land a little too well, and we didn't need it. So it became an opportunity for us to add shutter points, right, and swap out shutter buttons and dialogues.
So a lot of those things, it sounds like, I mean, even as we continue on here, you will have something as a concept, and then once it actually starts getting its application, you realize, you know, we need to make some changes, and then that whole creative process kind of happens again. How are we going to change this and keep it, you know, true to form to the films?
Absolutely.
Great question. Thank you so much. Where is Steven? There you are.
Hi there, I have Valentina.
Hello, Valentina.
Hi. Did you ever worry that with the popularity of the movies, you would make like a seemingly small mistake that would upset people?
There's one glaring mistake that we made that
Don't tell them.
that I love.
No, Valentina, everything was perfect.
It was all perfect. No, this was funny. This was something that only you true fans would have caught. When we first opened Hogsmeade here in Orlando, I got a call from our guest services office. They called me and they said, we've got a guest here, and they're complaining that you misspelled sickle on the Chinese licorice man. We'd switched the E and the L on it. And so that was a catch by a fan that made it past J.K. Rowling, because she approved everything, and so she didn't even catch it. But one of the fans did. I thought that was one of the greatest things, that they went to guest service and complained that sickle was misspelled.
I can imagine being that guest service agent, being like, there's a what? What?
No, that one. I know there's 7,000 other ones, but that one.
All right.
And we changed it that night, and then made sure it was right for the next day.
All right, there you go. There you go. All right, let's go back down to Jen. Who do you have with you, Jen?
I have Charlotte. Charlotte, your question.
I was wondering if there are any props from the movie that are permanently in the park.
Props direct from the movie. Is that what you mean, direct from the movie that are in the park? That's an interesting question.
Yeah, there's actually quite a bit of stuff between Diagon. Actually, we kind of spread the stuff out between Japan and Hollywood and Orlando. I mean, the Weasley brothers' car, or the Weasley car, is actually from the movie. In Hollywood, you actually see Hagrid's motorcycle from the movie. It's in front of his hut. If you're in the castle here, just before you go into Gryffindor Common Room, there's a cabinet that's like a locker right outside of Gryffindor Common Room. And there's a Quaffle Ball from the movie in there. There's one of the green tree toys that they bought on their visit to Hogsmeade that's in there. So, I mean, there's little bits and pieces all throughout. A lot of the furniture pieces you see, a lot of the stuff that we got from Warner Brothers was really kind of nondescript stuff that you couldn't identify as being from any one specific set. But like when you're in Bill Weasley's office going into the Gringotts attraction, the sofa in there is Slughorn's sofa from his office in the movie, or his apartment in the movie.
Awesome. Another great question. Yes?
I can't comment that your props blend in so well with the ones from the movies that you can't tell the difference.
Thank you. That was the plan. Thanks.
All right. Very nice. Great compliment. All right, let's go to Chelsea.
All right, I have Alex from Florida.
Hi, Alex.
Hi. My question is kind of more behind the scenes. When you're putting you said you had like a team of artists. When you're putting your artists together, what do you like look for graphic designers? What kind of background do you want the artist to have to be on your team? And do you offer like internships or anything like that?
I was kind of getting a feeling there was an ulterior motive. The real question is, I want a job with you. How does that whole thing work?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we do offer internships. You can go to the University of Orlando website, and they post all the internships on there. With my shop, we usually do a fall, spring, and summer internship, and many of our interns have ended up staying on and having full-time jobs after they graduated. We brought them back to work for us full-time. As far as my artists, we like people that are multifaceted, that can sculpt, that can paint, that can do carpentry, that can really do a little bit of everything. Because there's so much that we do where you have to grab some money and go, all right, stop painting that and go over here and help sculpt this for a little bit. So the more depth your level of skills are, the more we're looking towards you. We also use a lot of the kids that work in the park out here. Actually, myself, I started out straight out of college working in the park, and finally made it back to this area. So I like to hire the kids out of the park to give them a chance to show what they can do for us. So, like for instance, we had for Hollywood, every wine box in Ollivanders is hand painted.
Oh wow!
75,000 wine boxes or something like that, and so we had a group of kids that we hired out of the park that came in and spent almost a year just sitting there painting wine boxes. And, I had actually joked saying we could make this a paid attraction. The guests would they would pay to come paint wine boxes like that.
Would you guys do that? Would you paint your own? You're all interns, and you all make intern pay as well, so you're good to go.
The good thing about the time that we're in right now is there's such a boom in the industry. And when I started with Universal Creative, we had 50 people maybe total, and that was finance, admin, designers, everybody. And now we're approaching 400, I think, with all the work we have going on.
Yeah, it's amazing.
So no matter what you do, there is a place for you if we can get you in.
Yeah, but right now Universal Creative is hiring like crazy, so check out the website if you're at all interested.
There you go. Does that satisfy your question out there? Were you texting everyone that was telling you to ask that question who wanted a job? Awesome, great
Have
question.
your business card ready to bring?
Yeah. Okay, Josh.
I have Sonia from Orlando.
Sonia, hi.
Hi. Were you guys involved with the design of the interactive windows? And if so, is there a nutrition plan to keep them fresh?
Well, for me, I was involved in making the window that it sat in. And really, I had Eric and I had our vendors who were actually making those animated props and figures kind of standing behind me on a daily basis going, hey, my stuff's right here. Is your building ready? Hey, my stuff's right here. Can you? So that was kind of where I was in. And the facility inputs and things like that came from those vendors and making sure that all the pieces and parts were there for future need if we had them. If something is only powered or only pneumatic, we didn't just put that in the window. We gave it enough flexibility to where, should we need to change that out in the future, we can.
And as far as I was involved with that, very early on, I was working with the R&D department, helping to figure out what the magic would be in the windows and how the magic worked. And then towards the end, my group handled hiding the things that make the magic. And there was a lot of that. So we spent a lot of time, trying to make it so you can't see why the magic is like.
So it sounds like, in some way, shape, or form, depending on the amount of involvement that you had, that things can have room for flexibility to evolve, to change, and to the point of the question, be updated if necessary. Kind of like how you already have with the change that you needed to make for the process of the cube from an earlier comment that you made.
Yeah. I think the swap over, I'm personally interested to see what happens in the next 3 films. If we get new spells, if we get new things that we can use. One of the big jokes that was going around the office when we were trying to figure out the wand magic was, I'm pretty sure Harry only knows 4 spells. So how are our guests going to know what to do? He made it through his whole life with only knowing these.
Interesting, great question. Thank you so much. Let's go back over to Stephen.
I have Ryan from New York.
Ryan from New York. Hello, Ryan.
Hi. I'm just wondering what the biggest challenge you guys faced when making the fire-breathing dragon was.
That is a pretty cool attraction.
Making the adjacent buildings out of concrete so he has no chance of burning it down.
I would say the engineering probably, because everything that we build here has to be engineered to hurricane standards. And I think that being able to hide all the massive amount of steel that keeps them from flying away during a hurricane was one of the biggest challenges. And that was an amazing piece to see come together. Brendan Court, who was the sculptor for all the Potter movies, and Jason Villalobos, who works for me, they spent months at a secret location sculpting this dragon, and then it was trucked in. It was pretty amazing.
And the dragon actually started as an idea of Stuart Craig's that was, when you come into Islands of Adventure, you can see Hogwarts Castle off in the distance. You know where you want to go if you're here for Harry Potter. And the dragon was kind of that thing where, well, Diagon's really hidden. If we get far away, what do we see? And his first design was actually the same dragon, the same 60-foot wingspan, standing up on that dome with his arms out, like. And we went round and round. We joked, well, let's make it a weather vane and have the top of the bank like turn whenever the wind comes around. And through that design process, we ended up lowering it down, kind of grabbing onto the column, draping the wings so that he could work in this environment.
Awesome, great question. We've got time for one more. Down here to Jen.
I have Adrian here. Your question.
Hi, okay, so what I'm curious about is what little Easter eggs you guys have hidden in either Diagon Alley or Powells.
Well, I'm sure you've all found all of our Jaws nods in Diagon, right? Eric's team actually went and cleaned out all of Jaws and reused a lot of that stuff.
Yeah, I mean, for instance, I can't remember, I think it's Mulpepper's window in Diagon. There's a set of Jaws hanging in the very back of the window. And that was actually an exact match to the movie. In the movie, they had a set of shark jaws. So we used a set that was on the boathouse in Jaws in the window there. One of the telescopes, actually several of the telescopes in Wiseacres are made incorporating pieces from the Jaws attraction. There's one right at the front of Wiseacres where it comes together as a point. There's a big giant telescope, and the main body of that telescope is a ship's compass that was in Jaws, and we put it back in almost the exact same place it was when we pulled it out for Jaws. Another little hidden Easter egg that you'll really have to look for, in Nocturne Alley there's a locksmith shop, and there's a window that's filled with all these padlocks and keys. And if you look very closely down towards the bottom right, there's a little very ornate key, and that is the key that Hagrid used to open Harry's vault in the first movie. So we kind of stuck that in there for the fans to pick up on.
So now everyone's on their way back now, right? How about a big round of applause here for Eric and Ryan? Thank you so much for joining us, gentlemen. We appreciate it. And, you've learned a lot now, so take that knowledge and go impress your friends. Ladies and gentlemen, enjoy the rest of the weekend here as we celebrate Harry Potter 2016 at Universal Orlando Resorts. Have a great afternoon.